One of the oddest things to think about is that aside from our internal thought processes and our recognition of ourself, which is built upon our experiences, our emotions, we don't exist as the same person for anybody else. As their lives intersect with their own memories and build a version of us that is unique to their perspective. Memory is a fragile thing, and it is seldom that you can find two people that have identical descriptions of an event that took place in their lives. In the world of darkness, memory can be even more strange. Throw in the preternatural powers that many kindred possess, or perhaps even the abilities of other denizens of the night. And discerning truth from fiction becomes exceptionally difficult. So, for now, let's dive into Blood on the Bayou. It has been almost 2 years now since Prince Madeline has taken control of the city of New Orleans. However, our opening scene takes place quite some time ago. It is currently one night before Prince Madeline is due to give her very first Elysium at the Longview Gardens. We find ourselves in the law firm offices of the primogen of Clan Ventrue, Reynard Guthrie. Seated across from Reynard is one of his constituents, Mr. Andre Bissett. So, Andre, I expect that you and your coterie will be on their best behavior at this new prince's coronation tomorrow evening.
Absolutely. There's certainly nothing to worry about, Primogen. I understand that a few of them associate with that anarch movement, but I can make sure to keep them all in line.
Very good. Yes, I know that you are currently in the domain of that ministry woman, but still, you are to report yourselves with all the decorum that members of the Camarilla are expected to show.
And members of Clan Ventru as well. Yes.
Of course, yes. I assume that I do not need to put too fine a point on the weight of our new prince's rise to power.
Not at all.
Hmm.
It's unusual. I can only imagine that someone of your station has heard little chirpings here and there of how that would have come to be.
Well, we are lacking in a number of primogen at the moment. This was one of the methods employed by our new prince, and in hopes of keeping my seat and my faculties, I believe I've made the wisest decision for our clan moving forward. Be that as it may, I will leave you for just a moment as he picks up his cell phone and has a look at it. I have something to attend to. Forgive me. And he picks up the phone, starts making a phone call as he sort of exits his offices. And you find yourself waiting in this quite well appointed, very orderly, well designed, a little bit on the old fashioned style of things, but it is a large office. I was searching for the word and I couldn't find the word office in my brain for a moment there. It is quite a large office. He has a very heavy wooden desk in front of him. There are shelves that are on sort of both sides of the room full of books, and there is a computer which is on the table. There are a couple of orderly files which are placed on the table as well. As Primogen Reynard Guthrie steps out of the room, you actually receive a buzz on your own cell phone as well.
He'll just reach into his pocket and pull the phone out. Is it a text message or a call? Because he would have it on silent.
A text message. Yes, it is a text message that you have received, and seems to be from an unknown number. And opening up the message, it is a series of numbers: 14, 82, 37. To your unique and ordered mind, it seems to make perfect sense. You put your cell phone away, open up your briefcase, and retrieve a small flash drive. And while your Primogen is currently away, you make your way to the other side of the table, insert the drive into the computer. It takes but a few moments for something to happen. You remove the drive, put it back in your briefcase, and sit down. It was a completely normal and rational thing to do.
Oh, absolutely.
And Reynard makes his way back into the room after a short bit of time. Apologies for having to step out, Mr. Bissett. I had a few things to deal with, partners in Shanghai are needing my attention. Um, but as I said, we need to be on our best behavior tomorrow night. So do what you can with that one that's been placed under the tutelage of Mr. Hartsmith. Uh, I don't fully understand Antonio's reasoning between allowing a thin blood to continue existing, but as he is no longer the prince, maybe Madeline's take on that will be different as well.
Quite possibly. I I've heard whispers and rumors of her around in the halls of Elysium. I know she has some lingering proclivities of the past.
Hmm.
Uh, those folks tend to, the religious types, they get all touchy with a lot of different things. So I could see her taking a different path. We'll just have to see.
Yes, very true. Well, I have nothing more to discuss with you tonight, Andre, so I will let you take your leave.
Very good, sire. He'll
You
stand up and
are
walk out of the office.
you are aware that you do have a meeting to attend to tonight. Um, you are making your way to your vehicle, which, if I'm remembering correctly, is not the most amazing vehicle in the world.
At this point in time, no. No, it's not. I have yet to meet Elijah and receive the lovely, lovely vehicle that he provided. So I believe right now we've got a 2000 white Toyota Corolla sedan is what.
I had a Mazda in my brain for some reason, but yes, the the white Corolla sedan is indeed you make your way into your vehicle and you find yourself driving to more of the northern area of New Orleans, sort of out into some more suburban-ish kind of neighborhoods, and you end
I
up
can't remember who
parking.
the meeting's with, but they always like to meet in strange spots.
Indeed, it's one of those occurrences, but this is definitely supposed to be important. So you find yourself parking outside of a church. It is not particularly packed. It is not the newest of churches. It's not the oldest of churches. So it is not particularly composed out of heavy stone blocks as such. It is more a wooden affair, but very much in the style and setting as you would find here in New Orleans. But you can hear that there are definitely worshippers inside. Some kind of mass seems to be going on. And you wait a moment and you begin to see people exiting the church. and you step inside. The pews are all but empty at this point in time. There is the figure of an elderly woman who is busy discussing things with the priest that is giving her oh gosh, I forget the name for it. The little white cookie thing. Uh
Sacrament thing?
Sacrament, but there's another word for it that I was going for. But yes, the giving her sacrament, and she says something. And you hear a very familiar voice to yourself, Andre. It says, well, bless you, sister, and have yourself a good evening. As a man, brownish hair, brown eyes, a little bit more on it looks as if he is potentially in his late 50s, so relatively well built, wearing a priest's collar. This is Daniel Murphy, your sire. You haven't seen him in a long time. Now there he is,
Over a year, as far
giving
as I know.
a kind sacrament in a church.
Sounds on par for him or Maria. Either one of them would have loved this
Daniel
place.
Daniel sort of wipes his hands together, and the elderly woman is the last person to leave the church.
He did let her leave, though.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
And as she exits, he goes and closes the doors and turns around. Well, good evening, Nikki. I wasn't sure you would come tonight.
Wasn't expecting to see you here.
No, you never are. You never are. So tell me, my son, how have these nights been to you?
They were better till I realized that you were here. I assume you brought the rest of the flock with you.
Of course, we don't like to travel alone.
In the church, where is he positioned relative to me? Like, is he essentially just kind of down? Are we essentially kind of standing in that kind of like main corridor between the pews,
Yes,
facing each
very
other?
much so.
Yeah.
It's not the smallest of churches, it's not the largest of churches. So there are probably maybe 10 pews aside, probably less. And there is obviously the pulpit with the where the priest can speak. There is an altar for some candles, and there is a big old cross up on the wall with Jesus nailed to it.
As far as I can tell, and I am going to take a moment to give like a legitimate parse of the entire environment, is it just me and him at the moment, or is there anyone else potentially here?
Make a wits and awareness roll.
I can totally do that. I believe that night I would have been at Hunger Zero, more than likely.
What? 100 Hunger Zero? No.
Never happens. Never happens.
Lies.
However, he is going to go ahead and rouse to be more observant than normal, considering the situation. Um,
Indeed.
I did pass, so I'm tempted for the willpower reroll. No, I'll stick with it. It's three still pretty good. Three successes.
3 is still pretty good. You are having the conversation with your sire, and you can actually hear in sort of the more rear section of the church where there would be doors which would lead to sort of like the private chambers of the priest and some other areas as well. You do hear that there are a couple of rousings of noise, like footsteps behind there. Not hurried, but it does seem that there is potentially one person behind there.
At least someone other than us
Mm-hmm.
in the building.
Indeed.
Potentially more than just one someone. All right. um, I think Nikolai's at this point would kind of briskly walk up to his sire and kind of go to get into his face. I assume when I do that, there is a sensation that washes over me.
You are coming up to get into the face to face with Daniel Murphy, and you do feel that, well, it's more noticeable that Daniel doesn't move from where he is. His sort of static smile never changes. There's no outward sign that he feels himself to be in any danger or any threat to himself. And what you do feel is, yes, there is a sense of, it's not calm, it is, gosh, what is a good way to say this? It is
Like feeling at home.
in a way, yes, it is a sort of a sense of belonging to that you do recognize within yourself, a sense of not being able to push yourself to be physically hostile to someone without some extended effort upon your part.
This is never going to be over, is it?
Well, that depends on what exactly you think has ended, Nikki, or might end. This isn't easy on me, you know, but we have work to do, and you have work to do. And it has been a little bit of time since you have joined us in Holy Communion. And he sort of turns a little bit and gestures to near the altar where there is the wine of sacrament. And you see a familiar, well-dressed younger man come stepping out of the doors to the back in the form of Robbie Drake, wordlessly from shadows in the walls. Two other figures make themselves apparate in a sense. And you do indeed recognize that your entire pack is. I've allowed your flights of fancy, my son. And this exploration of yours into whatever it is you might be seeking. But you are part of our family. And it's time we all had dinner together, don't you think?
Nikolai is going to spend a point of willpower to go ahead and resist the urges of the vinculum and physically take a step back from his sire. Not understanding why it's so hard for him to step away.
You step away. It is indeed quite difficult. And as you do, Daniel sort of turns his back to you and is making his way towards the pulpit where there is the sacramental wine cup, as it were, and is almost not paying attention to you, but he begins singing a song under his breath, an old tune. I'm sure you've heard it before. He seems to sing songs from his memory or his time growing up. He's told you that these are folk songs from where he grew up, but is almost a pleasant sort of ditty that he sings. Just not belting it out, but as he is working over the cup and taking a knife from his pocket and making a cut in his wrist. And as the song plays out, I would need you to make me a roll, please, of intelligence and resolve. And then you would have your penalty for a full blood bond. You have some ability to resist.
I do. So it's not quite the full penalty that I would end up taking, but I do still end up with a
Indeed.
penalty. I don't have it strong. I'm not unbondable. I just can resist it.
Not unbondable.
So I believe I still lose 2 dice despite having the 2 bond resistance. Three successes.
Okay. Give me a moment here. Yes, that's correct.
And Nikolai is feeling a mix of emotions right now as his sire is singing and making the moves and motions through the Baldery ritual, which he still has memory of.
Okay.
And his songs, the pretentious hypocrisy that Nikolai always felt about his sire, constantly integrating that into his rituals and his manner. It, the hypocrisy of the fact that as Sabbat they were supposed to disavow all things of their humanity, and yet all of the elders don't seem to play exactly by the rules. So much like the Camarilla.
And there is something in that tune that he is sort of half singing, half humming away to himself. Early one morning, just as the sun was rising. Something about it is in its lilting cadence.
It feels right.
Mm. And you find yourself moving forward.
At first,
And
he's
as
not
the
even aware that he's doing it, moving forward at just kind of a slow shuffle and cadence. Um, as he draws up to his sire and gets near him as they're passing the cup around, and each member participates by starting to place their blood into the Baldery vessel. He does just behind his sire. He spends another point of willpower and stops himself again momentarily. And in that brief moment of cognition, he kind of looks around and assesses his situation. His whole pack is here. There's clearly the vinculum has not faded in any way, shape, or form. And it's something that he was aware of when he tried to escape in the first place. He had heard rumors that there was no such thing as breaking the vinculum. Once it was in place, it was forever, and thus you were forever a Sabbat. But he had hoped, watching the keepers defect to the tower, that maybe it wasn't true. But now he's starting to have his doubts because it's been over a year since he's been away from them. And a blood bond would have faded by this time. And like, he still feels the same compulsion to join his pack. And there's the emotion washes out of his eyes temporarily as he just kind of has that moment of recollection and understanding that he doesn't have a choice here.
there is almost a smirk on the face of Maria as the cup is passed to you.
And like the properly educated and brought up Zimothy that he is, he, without hesitation, as though the living flesh willed it itself. He runs the blade across his hand, or across his wrist, drains some vitae into the cup, increasing his hunger, and then follows suit in handing the blade back to his sire, as well as the cup, so that it can be passed around for everyone to drink after it has been blessed.
The ceremony is one that is very familiar to you. The words that are spoken, the feeling that comes over you after the Voldery is complete and the funiculum is once again strengthened. And Daniel puts a hand on your shoulder. You did good work tonight with that computer drive. Everything Madeline needs to put that man in the ground. Make sure to speak up, take his place. But for now, why don't you go home and get some rest, Nikki? Forget all about our little visit here. That's a good lad. And the directive is very firmly in place in your mind. As you leave the church and make your way back to your own haven, none the wiser. You're pretty sure you had a successful meeting tonight. Didn't seem to take
Those
too long.
clients just, they keep stretching this deal out. I need to close it. At least we made some progress. And
Indeed. There are flashes of points of conversation, a suggestion given to you of just who it is that Sakura might approach to rescue her young progeny. Suggestions of perhaps a good location that this burnt down bar offers. And flashes of just one night before our current night. Not 2 years ago, before Prince Madeline's first Elysium, but our current night, where a conversation is happening via phone call. This time, a meeting happening at a dockside warehouse. Verniculum once again strengthened. And Nikolai, none the wiser as to what his directives may or may not be.
Oh, what directives? Every choice I've made is clearly my own.
Clearly. But having said that, we do move to our conversation that was in place. Sakura, you have been attempting to get your coterie mates to see reason and help you keep your child. Some have agreed, some have not, some have asked for a little bit more.
Stubborn. They're all too stubborn.
Listen, Sakura. I appreciate that you care for Ricky as though he is actually your child. But the fact of the matter is, he is not. Nor are any of us outside of Michaela, who seems eager to assist you. None of us are Bahari or interested in any of the strange things that all of you are getting up to. Clearly you drove out Sora. They have no interest whatsoever. However, and I know Elijah has zero interest. I will let Mr. Hamish speak for himself, of course. However, and before I proffer this offer, is Ricky with you?
He is, but I can send him into the other room.
Oh, no, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Okay.
I will assist in this ritual under a single condition, and depending upon your arrangement, it's up to you how, between yourself and Ricky, you decide to react to this. But I will assist so long as Ricky owes me a life boon.
I'm not allowed to answer that. Oh, God. Hold on. And she mutes the phone on both ends, so she can't hear them and they can't hear her. And she will bend down to Ricky because the phone was on speaker.
Mm-hmm.
Ricky, do you know what that means?
Not 100%, Miss Sakura. It's one of those boons are the ones that we give to people when they want something, or
yes. And my limited understanding of a lifelong boon would be basically a unrepayable boon, a standing boon that can be called upon. It is a incredibly large ask, and he knows this, and he knew to ask of it of you and not me. oh, I'm going to kill him for this. But it is not my
What
choice.
can I do for Mr. Nikolai? Does he want to play Pokemon for centuries, or
Well,
I
I don't think so. I think you're a very special boy, Ricky. Very special. And Nikolai has interest in things that are special. In the same way that I didn't want you accompanying Sora to see Finn, is my same concern of sometimes an interest in something special means they don't want to preserve it as much as exploit it. So I don't know what he could ask of you, but I don't have good hopes for it.
But why do I need to give a boon? Or why does Mr. Nikolai want a boon?
Because don't worry, I'll kill him for it later. But because he knows that I need his help.
But with what though? I'll be honest, Masakura, I wasn't listening to your conversation.
Completely fair. That's fair. I'm working on a solution to your Bulbasaur problem.
Oh. Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm going to need the help of as many of my Coterie as I can get. And he knows it. And he knows that I'm having trouble getting people on board. And she's just grumbling. Like, not even just, she's just like fuming.
Ricky sort of looks down at the rose that is growing out of one side of his wrist and sort of looks up at you, which again is an odd thing because when he is in this form, you cannot see any eyes. It doesn't look as if Ricky has eyes. But he looks at the rose growing out of his wrist and he looks up at you and says, I don't know. I guess I think Mr. Nikolai is okay. I mean, Sheila seems to like the way that Nikolai is with Mr. Elijah.
Yeah, don't listen to Sheila. But it's not up to me, and he knows if it was up to me, he knows what I would tell him if it was up to me, but it is not up to me. And I hate how smart he is. I'm going to murder him for this. God, he's been doing this for too long. He knows I'm not allowed to say no or yes because it's not to me, it's to you. But
because I don't really understand what the thing is, I don't really mind anyway. So
yeah,
I guess it's fine.
Yeah, no, he knows that. That's the thing. It's so exploitative of him, and I'm not even surprised. I would advise against it. I can manage without his help. I've done it before. I can manage. But if you think he can help, it is your boon to give. But again, I would advise against it.
Look over at Quinn.
Oh, it's been muted this whole time. She practically hung up. It's still on, but there's no sound.
I don't know, Sakura. I think it's fine. Mr. Nikolai's always been good to me. So,
How about I give you a night to think about it? I let you think about it. And because what you see of someone is not always all there is to see. You might think he's very nice.
Good idea. I have a really good idea.
Oh?
We can ask those two ladies what they think.
I'm scared to ask. What two ladies?
The other ghost ladies.
There are what other ghost ladies? I'm immediately sense the unseen.
Sure, go ahead and roll it.
Immediately. At the mention of other ghost ladies, it's just instinct. Let's see that.
Go ahead and roll it.
See, now you got ghosts in your garden. This is what
I know.
This is what happens when you join the Bahari. I don't even feel bad about it. This is what you get.
And they say, I'm the bad one.
I love May to death, but you followed Lilith to your doom.
That is 3 successes.
3 successes. 3 successes is enough because you are not looking for obfuscated people. You're just looking for ghosts. And they're seated sort of on some of the chairs that you have here in your cottage. There are two
I've learned
2 familiar forms. 2 familiar forms. You haven't seen them in quite some time. But there are 2 familiar forms. A blonde-haired woman in sort of a white nightgown shift, and a taller brunette woman, also quite beautiful, but very, very much wearing like a... what's a good way to describe it? Like an undead bride kind of wedding dress type thing.
Corpse bride.
No, just like I've got the image of like the Lady Dimitrescu's daughter's outfit in my mind, but I'm trying to describe it in a way. But either way, the forms of Lizelle and Patrice, the daughters of the Baron.
Yep. She is going to stare them down.
As you look at them, Lizelle sort of waves and their forms coalesce in plain vision on the seats. Well, it took her a long time, didn't it, Patrice?
You have 10 seconds.
We're just looking in on your boy here. We're not doing anything untoward.
5.
You know Daddy's going to be upset with you if you're mean at us.
I don't care. You are in my home.
Well, we were here visiting the young man earlier, and we thought that we would have listened to your conversation. But if you don't want us here, that's fine. We'll go.
Who even? How did you even find out where I live?
She thinks we haven't been following her. This is Patrice.
If you're trying to make me like you more, you're failing miserably.
Oh, sweetheart. We don't need to try to make anyone like us. We're just doing our job.
I am someone you want on your side.
Of course.
So
that's why
far,
we keep the young man company when you are not around.
So far, every action you have ever made towards me has been the opposite of attempting to get me on your side. So unless you have something helpful, I recommend you leave.
Unfortunately, don't have anything particularly helpful, but your wonderful young Ricky seems more than capable of making a decision. Aren't you, young man? And
the last decision that you witnessed was to let him be taken. So I'm not particularly interested in what you think.
there was very little we could do to stop that, I assure you.
I do not believe you in the slightest.
Well, if ifs and buts were candy and nuts, we'd all have a Merry Christmas. But we're not trying to be antagonistic. We are keeping an eye on the young man. Daddy thinks he's special too.
That does not make me feel better.
If you are asking our opinion, Ricky, I say go for it. It's not like you only live once.
If the former Baron has anything to say to me, he can do so directly. The next time you care to visit my home, do so forthrightfully, or you will not be welcome back.
It looks like she's in the mood, Lazel. We better leave. Okay.
What possibly gave you that impression?
They start disappearing from view, and you still have sentient synapse. You can see that they are, in fact, leaving, but you hear them whisper as they say, "We think you should go for it, sweetheart. You know what you're doing."
Nobody asked you.
Disappear. I mean, technically, Miss Sakura, I did kind of say I'd ask your opinion.
Yes, I know, Ricky. I'm not the biggest fan of theirs. They've never been particularly helpful or kind to me.
True, but they have been teaching me swears.
Why? That doesn't make better, Ricky.
I'm going to hang up the phone after Elijah has probably, yelled in Nikolai's ear for, the past few minutes because it's just been dead silence for the longest time. And I'm sure Elijah's just like, why the hell are you still on the phone? So
she's totally forgotten at this point.
I'm totally going to just hang up.
Fair. She forgot she muted you after the ghost appeared. No longer the main thing.
Totally distracted.
Well,
ooh, shiny.
Yeah.
Where we had left Sora the last time we had seen them was on their way to Eden Tech, the offices of the multinational corporation run by Mr. Finn Aegis of the Glasswalkers. It does not take you too long in the wonderful vehicle that you possess to make your way to the very glass and greenery inspired, environmentally conscious and friendly building, which is in the center of a park that has been constructed specifically for these purposes. At the beginning, some people were a little bit taken aback that the large Holiday Inn hotel that had stood there for a long time had been taken and repurposed into this, but the introduction of the park has improved the quality of the city quite a bit, in many people's opinion. But yes, you are making your way into the building itself, and you are allowed access to the elevator, which will bring you up to Finn's private quarters. And as the doors sort of open, you see that you are in the area that at this time of day, Finn is actually a lot more relaxed in terms of appearance than you often see him, because of the uniqueness of your own situation, Sora. often having to, in the past, hide certain facets of yourself. Finn having to do the same thing. It is, Finn sometimes feels that he can relax a little bit around you in certain sense because you understand what it's like. As such, today Finn is. It seems as if he has been possibly in the middle of doing some workouts, and he is also in shorts that and sort of like a tank top kind of affair, but you can see that he does not have his personal hologram field up, so he has his full guru legs, which is an interesting sight to see a man that is walking around on Krynos legs. But still, it's you can see that he's comfortable this evening, and it's a certain level of trust that you are here in his essentially home section of Eden Tech and not his office. But Finn greets you quite warmly. It is kind of my day off, but I did want to talk to you about the thing that you wanted to get looked at. Abraxas had us look into that serial number.
Oh, perfect. What was he able to find by chance?
Well, one of the things, it's oh, by the way, do you need anything to eat or drink? I don't know, have some rats sent up from the lab or something.
Oh no, I'm fine. I normally try as much as possible to keep my hunger under control. So anytime the internal conflict starts to rise, I try to address it. So therefore, no one else has to be of concern. So
I am pretty much hungry 24/7. So if you're not going to eat something, I am going to eat something.
Sure, but I will be honest. If you start to eat, I may get hungry for wanting to eat as well. So if you decide to chow down a rat, can you perhaps bring up two?
Well, I was probably going to have sushi, but I can definitely bring you up some rats.
Oh, different. Okay, I thought we were about to collaborate on eating some animals. Never mind. Sushi, I can handle.
If I'm going to go hunting, Sora, it's going to be a lot bigger than a rat. I assure you.
Very understandable. Very understandable. So Sora would go ahead and take a seat. I guess there's a table somewhere around where.
Yes, Finn's living area. As you sort of come in, there is there are a couple of levels, but the first sort of level brings you to like a kitchen type area. It's very open plan, and then there are steps that go down into a living room where there are a couple of very nice looking sofas. There is a fireplace sort of one corner. The windows themselves are all glass, but it is understandable that you can see out, but folks cannot see in. There are other areas to the side. It is, it has an air of being like lived in. It's things are not untidy by any means at all, but it is, there's definitely that air of being lived in here. And you can see that there are a couple of there is a backpack on one of the chairs, which has a couple of like band sort of like patches and some pins and stuff on it. It is not like, not the kind of thing that someone that Finn would be, that would belong to Finn, because this is, he's in his 40s. He's like 42. This is definitely something that belongs to somebody in, like a teenager. But that is, you are aware that Finn has a son. So this is probably belongs to Austin, as it were. But yeah, you are able to take a seat there, and Finn sort of puts in his order to get some sushi and gets a rat sent up as well, and makes himself sort of like comfortable eating some sushi as it's going.
You know what? Just to make things feel a little bit more comfortable, Sora's going to bless your life and also partake a bit in the sushi, just to make things feel a bit more even keel.
Sure.
Give me 1 second. As humanity 8, I get advantage technically on this one. So.
The vampire equivalent.
Yep. Yeah, pretty much. And of course, we're good.
Very good. Yeah, it's good. He has a whole spread of it. There is like some good sandwiches. There's sashimi, there's sushi, there are like the maki, there are like some California rolls, all that type of stuff. It's like a good spread there.
So go ahead.
You can go.
So so you were telling me about you said Braxton was able to discover perhaps the origin of this.
Yes.
Is it serial number? Is it a serial number? It looks like a serial number.
Sort of. It's more akin to like a nano QR code kind of thing, but it's complicated. But the point of it is that your device definitely seems to be able to pick up audio, not video, and there are only a few people that can produce this level of sophisticated technology, and a lot of them are, shall we say, special interest competitors for myself.
Special interest competitors. That doesn't sound pleasant.
No. Not pleasant at all. The thing that makes me worried about this is, well, you'll remember the stasis pods that were carted in by your friend, Mr. Hartsmith, and Mr. Hamish as well. The technology was something that we hadn't really seen before, but I got a little inkling after seeing this listening device that you had sent us. I had Abraxas do a molecular scan on some of these things, which I don't know why it didn't occur to me before, but same barcode, as it were. Same signature as the listening device. This is something that is concerning, but not necessarily, well, it's concerning for you.
Yes.
In the case of the folks that I am concerned about seem to have weaseled their way into this organization that seems to be hunting all supernaturals as well. So there are efforts on my side I'm going to have to take. But
so could you provide like the names of the special interest parties you were referring to, just so we can know who additionally we would have to be concerned about?
I can, but I won't. I will let you know that it's something that now that I'm aware of, I will make sure to tackle on our end, because this will fall under at least my handling of my part of the alliance. But just know what I can tell you is that this tech comes out of San Jose, and I have people looking into it.
Okay. Well, for protective based purposes, as you know, this was found in our haven of sorts where the Coterie originally resides, which means more so it was placed on the bottom end of an alcoholic beverage, which I think was specifically tied to one member of my coterie, since he's kind of well known of having a drink or two. Maybe not the same beverage. Looks like they didn't go as deep into their reference material as they needed to, because the bottle was definitely off. However, it definitely seemed like it was a targeted approach. So if that's the case, if this is part of your area of the alliance, is there some things you could be able to do to make sure that the coterie as a whole, especially if we're targeted by this group, can be protected? Like perhaps security guards, or maybe something else to make sure that we are not caught blindsided again, like this would happen at our haven.
Would you make a check for me?
Oh, sure.
We'll go with charisma and persuasion here.
Does my stunning apply to this? Because I am a little bit sexy.
It does. I mean, it's 4 social roles, and those are social roles. So
perfect. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Stunning always applies.
Perfect. Ooh, this could be a nice pull for me. I don't. This is my first social role, I think.
It might be.
Yeah, this is. Oh, wow, that was 9 with a crit.
Very nice.
Mm-hmm.
Finn sort of stands up a bit and sort of like has his fingers steepled and sort of rubbing them together, and he kind of like looks out the window, and as he has his Krynos legs out, his tail is also out, and you can see his tail is sort of like flicking, like he's thinking.
Mm-hmm.
And he turns around and says, part of the reason for this alliance is to make use of each other's resources.
Mm-hmm.
Your kind live a lot longer than we do and have deeper tendrils. Yes, I run a multinational corporation as well, but I am not 400 to 500 years old, shall we say. Or at least I don't have generational money going back thousands of years. This would be something that I would usually this is information that I will be giving to Madeline. So I'm willing to tell you, but I just want you to know that the onus is not on you. If you would like to find a way to assist with this, of course, it will be greatly appreciated. But it's not something that you have to deal with. But I'm willing to tell you. So if you are wanting to hear, that is one of the things. Because it's not something that you have to deal with. I don't want to give you responsibilities that are, I don't know, above your pay grade, so to say.
Well, I'll be honest. With them already targeting my coterie, there's no way I'm letting that slide by empty-handed. That's for sure. Elijah, as brisk as he may be, and I still to this day will make sure I get my proper name on that menu. There's no way I'm allowing anyone to attempt to hurt this individual by any means necessary. So I am more so. There's a comfort level I find here that I want to make sure we could be able to do our part in preventing any type of issues that could cause problems for the both of us. There's so yes, I'm, even if it is above my pay grade, I've been doing that my entire life. So this is just Tuesday for me.
All right. Fair enough. Well, this is, there are organizations within organizations, shell corporations that exist, essentially owned by a conglomerate group, which is known as Pentex. This specific piece of technology comes from one of their research facilities, which goes under another name. It is Advanced Biotech Incorporated. It is ostensibly a company that is building new research materials for medical use. They're based out of San Jose. Microprocessors, microchips, these kinds of things which are used in advanced MRI machines, remote surgery machines, etc. But this corporation has many names and many fronts, and it seems that your Society of Leopold, which is attached to this Sunrise Association, either does not know that the people that they have on their side are in fact not on anyone's side but their own, or they've deluded themselves into thinking that working with a corporation that basically the entire Guru Nation has been fighting for many years is going to be beneficial to them. But yes, the technology used in those pods and the technology used in this listening device that is linked to these Sunrise Association people and to this Second Inquisition, this Society of Leopold, seems to come from a Pentex shell. They are kind of like the arm of our greatest enemy. And when I say our, I mean my people. But they're also not somebody that you can fight. Well, my belief is there are not people that you fight with guns and weapons. You find their businesses, you take out their businesses, you freeze their assets, you find their CEOs and disgrace them, you buy up their shell corporations and you dismantle them, or you send in well-placed target teams to destroy their facilities from the inside piece by piece. It's not a direct sort of confrontation kind of thing. So if you wanted to help with this, well, I guess a distribution point within New Orleans is a good way to start. Find out exactly what this Advanced Biotech Incorporated is working on here, and seeing who their people are and getting rid of their assets and freezing those and trying to dismantle their company, as it were, from the inside here. I will have people working on that in San Jose, where they are based.
Perfect. And I know what they, of course, for this information, just curious. Would you happen to know what the shell company name is located? The shell company's name here in New Orleans, by chance, we can start.
They go by that same name here. It is the Advanced Biotech Incorporated.
Awesome. All right. Well, in that case, I would definitely take a look into that, and see what we could do, because we will. What?
Just if you do this, do not try to fight things directly, because there are very big, very scary things that these people can do.
I'm going to have to talk to my Malawa, I guess. I will be honest, and I'm telling you this because, like, as stated, there's a level of comfort that I have with you. That's not really with a lot of individuals. I've been trained more in the combat side of the spectrum, being brought in by my teacher. Business espionage, I have not actually approached just yet. So if you don't mind, I wouldn't mind talking to her and that group to see if perhaps they have some experience with this, and having a full team being able to break this down, who has been essentially been the arm of course, Kindred here for quite a bit of period of time, I think would be very beneficial for both of us, if you don't mind me asking them.
It depends on, well, just me telling you this is giving me a bit of pause here, because I've given you some information that is potentially quite harmful to you. So keep that in mind when you are wanting to tell other people.
I see.
They're
Okay.
not people to fuck with lightly.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the time, though, these shell corporations don't even know that they are owned by Pentex. They don't even know what they're actually doing. So a lot of the workers are just that, workers. You know, killing somebody that is responsible for building a transistor in a microchip is not beneficial to anyone.
Exactly. They have no idea what they're being brought into. So, yeah, I can definitely see how this situation gets very sticky very quickly. And the last thing I want is for innocent blood to be shed as we make sure my coterie is safe and you all are safe. So, well, you definitely have my word that we're going to take absolute proper precautions to make sure we just trim the fat of sorts if we can.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So, the other thing I wanted to bring up about the site that we cleaned up after you had rescued your friend Michaela. Yeah, it was very, very bad. It took a good couple of days to cleanse that place.
I do happen to have some information on that front as well. We were able to extract 2 individuals from the event and attempt to question them. And we discovered that they were dead bloods with this misguided approach of attempting to return to humanity, but their way of returning back to humans seems to involve sacrificial viewpoint. It was really weird. Like I also attempt to return back to humanity. That's the reason why we follow a particular method called conduct, and how I'm able to enjoy the sushi that you placed towards me. Well, at least for a certain period of time before I have to throw it up. Nevertheless, I was trying to get them to see that there are other methods if they're wishing to return back to the guise of humanity, or at least get as close as possible. But they were so like fitted. Like they had no other viewpoint. They did not want to change their viewpoint in any way, shape, or form outside of just performing this method of the sacrificial content to obtain humanity. And I believe they were trying to bring in something that was not meant to be on this earth. That's for sure.
The area, that stuff that they were doing with that pit, and there's a lot of terminology that I'm not going to throw at you here, but there is a very strong, I'll use the word corruption because otherwise I feel like a teenager and laugh every time. I'll use the word corruption that we are able to cleanse. And it's something that did get me is that I remember that smell. I mean, the whole place stank of it, but you and your friends had visited once, and your friend Sakura had this thing that she wanted to show me, coin or something. The smell that came off of it was the same. Made me sick. But is that corruption was linked to there? I'm just going to tell you because it's funny. We call it taint.
Now I can see why.
I shouldn't laugh. I shouldn't laugh. But
no, you have every right to. I'm amazed you were not able to. You did not think of laughing when you first thought of the word. But it's a perfect description. A perfect description.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so they seem to be an organization that is definitely gaining of a larger footing here. And they're saying that there's something to come in the near future. They would, and when I was trying to gather more information, somehow both him and his partner exploded into flames, like as if they took supernatural cyanide and just vanished. I never seen anything like that before.
Yeah, that's extreme. I would say that's extreme.
Mm-hmm. So, unfortunately, I wasn't able to get much more information with that. But I was wondering if you perhaps have any awareness of or any dealings with a group specifically in New Orleans that seems to have this misguided viewpoint of believing the road to humanity requires involving this taint.
I will look into it. It's not my area of speciality, but we do have people that deal with it a lot more. Mm-hmm. I can reach out.
I would do the same, and any type of information I'm able to find, I'll make sure to get back to you. And just one last thing before I head out, because I did say I was going to make this assistance, even though she definitely doesn't deserve it the way she made the statement over the phone. My friend has a child that seems to have this rose growing on their wrist. It seems to be of a negative origin, and it may be doing something bad towards them. I'm not sure how she wants me to help. So I just thought that maybe I should ask you if you perhaps may have some information behind it, how we could, it may be something dire, maybe causing issues.
If you can bring me a sample, I can look at it.
I think it's on his skin, so I'm see.
Well, I mean, if you can bring me some leaves or something, I mean.
Okay, I'll see what I could do. And thank you.
She's welcome to bring her child here if she would like to. We can, or just bring me a sample.
I see. Okay, yeah, I'll definitely ask her, and then and see if she'd like to take up their offer. So I definitely appreciate this conversation. I'll be honest. Before I go, coming to here is kind of like living in my area. I definitely appreciate being placed where I am in the swamp.
I mean, you're doing good job so far. So
thank you. It's kind of like I was thinking about it before. On the road or the path I'm trying to head to, it often causes conflict and odds with other individuals within my community because it's very different from how other people view things. It reminds me of a friend of mine's back when I was in middle school. They originally came from Michigan. And when they came from Michigan, they were surrounded by an area where they were trying to do good at school, but they were constantly teased about and made fun of because they were doing good at school. And because of that, they had to try to change to fit in with their society. And then they moved. And when they moved to a place where they were able to pursue their schooling. They didn't look at it as schooling being weird. It was more of schooling was an expectation. And being changed in place of that environment allowed that individual to be able to grow. I didn't really understand that at that time frame when he was explaining this until now. I was like, it's more of the environment that you're surrounded in definitely helps shape who you are as a person. I guess the whole nature versus nurture ordeal. And being in this environment kind of helps out a lot, making sure I can stay with the right path. I appreciate that.
I'm glad to hear it. It's I do what I can. Not that I'm taking credit here. I just mean, if I have the opportunity to help people, you were the most logical choice.
Just or a nod. Thank you. I appreciate it. All right, well, I have to get going. There's so much I have to do. I never knew I was going to be this busy. So thanks again for the sushi. It was some nice pull-ups. So don't make it seem like I didn't catch those. You have some good lats. You have some good lats.
Thank you. I have to keep up with my 18-year-old son. So it's one.
Well, I wish you luck with that. And with that, Sora will head out.
All right. And we transition to the other end of that phone call that was hung up on, where Quinn and Elijah and Nikolai are on the other end of a phone call that was hung up for a second.
Well, Sakura knows my number. They can make their own decisions here about how they feel about my assistance.
What's a life boon? I never heard of one of those before. I mean, I figure it's a bigger favor, but I don't know. I never heard someone mention it.
It's the largest favor there is. And considering the situation, rightfully so, it seems like Ricky's life is in danger. If he would like me to save his life, then he owes me his life.
Huh. Well, it's sound logic. I understand. But, I guess we'll see how it goes.
It's just the way business is done in the Camarilla, and that is who I walk with in the current nights.
I suppose we all do what we need to.
We do. Absolutely. Everyone does what they need to do to survive. I know
Well,
you
yeah.
weren't having any of it, Elijah.
When people put me on mute, I tend to get annoyed.
That's a little rude, I'd say.
Well,
I've hung up on you before, so it's all fine.
And I know you've got your own religion.
Yeah.
Can't imagine that you want to get involved in any of that Bahari nonsense.
Heaven no. I don't even want to get involved in Sora's whatever they've got going on.
They seem to have their hands in a lot of pies these nights.
Guess it's beneficial for them, keeps them busy and out of trouble. And from stealing any more animals from the zoo.
Listen.
Do not be accomplice in stealing another animal from that zoo.
I was already an accomplice, and I regret nothing. It made Sora happy. Do we have business to attend to?
I have to go see whoever this is.
Do you need a hand? Or a few sets of hands? And he'll look over at Quill.
Probably.
I'm not busy.
I have no idea who these people are.
We just dropped a phone call, right? So, yeah, not busy.
Yeah, Sakura will call us back.
It's still up to her if they want to ask you for help individually. She got kind of distracted by my offer and didn't really finish discussing things with you, Mr. Hamish.
Yeah, I don't... it seems... I don't know, it only seems fair because, last time, she was all too happy to just, butcher a couple innocent people. So, who knows what they want us to do now?
They have interesting practices. Like I said, I've stumbled across many different perspectives on our origins, and seems to be mostly nonsense. It's a lot like real world religion, or the rest of it, all the mortal stuff. A lot of secondhand stories. Not necessarily anything you can fully trust. So, you take a stab in the dark. Some people get swept up in it.
Well, I figure people like to have something to believe in, right? Makes them feel better.
True.
And unfortunately, that's what's led to this cult business.
So many cults.
So many cults. But the Sunrise cult.
Let's take care of your business, Elijah. All of this frustrates me. I start getting a headache.
You do know that that's physically impossible for us, and if you're having a headache, you should probably get that looked at. I can always just put your head under the sink and run some cold water over it.
I'm sure it's fine.
Yeah, I don't even know who this person is, so don't know why they want to talk to me about something in my domain.
Well, what does it relate to? Is it that person that's been poking around your turf?
Yeah, guess so. I don't know.
I suppose we might as well see what it's all about.
Might as well.
You're welcome to join us, Mr. Hamish, if you're so inclined.
I don't think I'm very busy right now. Why not?
Well,
Very good.
I suppose we'll take the Range Rover in case we need to deal with like any dead bodies, because I mean we are going to look into somebody fucking around in Elijah's turf. So
We're going to go talk to somebody.
Talk to somebody, murder them.
talking
not-
leads to murder very quickly in our line of work.
If they try to fight me first, then I will murder them. But until that time, this is just a friendly talk. I also put a robe in the back seat in case you decide to go scaly again. I am not getting distracted again on another drive home.
It's appreciated. He'll give
It's
Elijah.
really not. You don't have to explain to Grace why the back seat of the car needs to be detailed. Again. Do you know the look she gave me?
I'm sure it's fine.
No, do you know the look she gave me? I felt like my mother was staring at me.
Oh, you're being so overdramatic.
I'm really not. You next time you tell her and she can give you the look. You'll feel like your mother was staring at you too.
As you wish. I have no problems with this.
Quinn, you can sit in the back seat.
All right.
So your intention is to make your way to Odette's.
Yes.
Very good. Before we handle that, does Sakura have any other intentions for the evening?
Sakura did send a text message after she realized that she forgot about the phone call entirely because of ghosts. But she does send a text message to Nikolai that reads, "I have a counter offer. These are not discussions for the phone." And she is going to continue looking into what can be done.
Very good. Very good. How are you going to be approaching that?
Looking at through her books, her religious text, her non-religious text, her occult text, as she has access to a few different things.
Okay. Very good. You can make me an intelligence and occult roll.
That would be let's see, intelligence and occult. Yeah, because that's super great for me. That's one. That's the one.
You are quickly getting the idea that this is something that is sort of out of the scope of what you have at the resources available to you, currently available to you. So you might need to find a better library. Or find someone more knowledgeable about magical things.
I don't like any of these options. All these options suck. I think for now she is going to do what she can to convince the rest of her coterie to help her.
Okay.
So she's got some plans she's got to work on.
Very good. Very good. We then will join the other three that are on the drive in the Range Rover. It is not a very long drive, as you're not actually too far from the French Quarter. there is a little side street in one of the very touristy, very, very touristy areas. And the side street, there are a couple of like souvenir stores there and a couple of little bars and cafes, but there is one particular store which has a sort of a neon kind of glowing sign which hangs out and you can see into the street. It looks as if it is a neon palm with an eye in it, and it says underneath there, Odette. And approaching the store itself, you can see sort of like in the window and things, there are a couple of different like very touristy looking voodoo paraphernalia, for sale and things like that. And there are also at the bottom of the window, it's like get your fortune told by Madame Odette, and she knows all.
It really is tacky, but
I hate this already. Wonder if I can ask Annette to have it burned to the ground. I almost kind of want to see if I can buy the entire block.
you might have the money for it.
Okay, let's get this over with.
Got the money. They've got the time.
Go ahead. Open the
Tourist
door
nonsense.
and hold it open for both Elijah and Quinn.
Nikolai, as you attempt to open the door, you find that you are unable to open it. It's not locked, but it's like you are unable to push the door open. But you hear a voice. Oh, hold on, dear. I'll come open that for you. It's just a little bit of protection there. Don't worry about it. And the door, you hear the sound of like sort of shuffling footsteps, and you can sort of see through that window that is to the side there. An elderly woman. She seems to she has but darker skin. She has sort of graying hair. She is dressed in sort of like a kind of like a blue. It's a dress, but it gives off sort of like a very loose kind of air about it, almost like a robe as such. But in the elderly woman herself, she has a couple of she has a couple of like necklaces on, but one of them you can see it has sort of like cowrie shells on it, and she has a couple of brass sort of like bracelets around her wrists and sort of like biggish hoop earrings on. And she opens the door and she has a big smile. She's like, well, welcome to Odette's. Now, before you do come in, I just want to know you have no intentions of starting anything with any customers that might come in.
I certainly have no interest in your customers, and I can't imagine my associates do. I'll look back at Elijah and Quinn.
Not in the slightest bit.
That's very reassuring to hear. Thank you. Well, come on in now.
Saves me
thanks.
spending a willpower point.
Why?
I thought, thinking of the wrong character. This guy, Nikolai, can't go into people's places. I thought I had the folkloric block on this character.
Oh, they're inviting
but
you.
you,
Anyway.
They're
you
inviting you
received
in.
an invitation.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I was saying. But I must be mistaken. I must be thinking of a different character. It looks like Nikolai.
You do have a folkloric block, actually, but I don't. It's not specifically listed on your sheet what it might be,
Do I?
so I don't know. But no,
Oh
you
no,
have. You
yeah,
have
there
been,
it is. There it is.
You
It's
have
buried
been.
on
You
my
have
sheet.
been invited. You have been invited in.
Okay, yeah.
You have been invited
Saves
in.
me a willpower.
The shop itself, it's there's kind of like low lighting. There's a table where you can see Odette will do like card readings and such. There is also a few altars and things around the place which have statues of different saints on it as well. There is the smell of incense that is going through the air. There's a lot of very touristy stuff here for sure, but for those of you that would like, you can make a wits and occult roll for me.
Okay.
What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make a rouse check for you for Blush of Life.
Sure.
I actually don't have a cult at all, so
That's all right.
I mean-
You can roll your wits.
Okay.
I mean, I'm trying to learn more about the occult, but yeah, it's an ongoing project.
Just get
I
yourself
would
a teacher.
assume Nodism doesn't come into play in regards to the occult here.
No, not at all.
We got one success.
One success. Tourist trap. That's what you think, Quinn.
Yeah, that's what it seems like. Sounds like bullshit to me.
Successes with a messy critical.
Messy critical. Very interesting. All right.
Not spending the willpower to re-rolling it. Let's deal with this.
All right. 6 successes with a messy critical.
It's only fun when they run.
There are a lot of touristy looking paraphernalia around here. A lot. But you've been learning a lot more about the occult, spending your time sort of getting invested in perhaps being able to achieve some very interesting projects later down the line with the use of these gifts that you have access to now. And there is something in the layout of some objects within this room, hidden amongst the paraphernalia. You see a human skull that has some symbols on it. Those symbols shouldn't be on something in a shop where somebody doesn't know what they're doing or know what they are, and you've dealt with enough bodies to know a real human skull when you see one. There are some things on the walls and different hangings which are very old symbols and symbology indeed, and you particularly notice that the statues of some of the saints on these altars are different. The saint might have a book on one hip that will be on a different side. The colors of some of these things are a little bit different. And you find yourself with your messy critical going straight up to the skull and picking it up and thoroughly inspecting it. Like absolutely, you're putting it over in your hand. You're having a look at the leftover teeth inside the skull and sort of like beginning to almost try to manipulate some of the pieces of it with some of your gifts to carefully break a section off that has some of these symbols on there. And As you are doing that, Odette says, if you're going to break it, honey, I'm going to have to ask you to pay for it.
How much?
Well, we can discuss that price, but that's going to be a lot more than you might want to afford right now.
Humor me.
I believe you people call it, what should we say, for that specific artifact? A life boon would be sufficient for that. You're very intrigued at the skull, Andre. Nikolai. But as I said, you can think about that. You don't even know what it does yet.
He's going to keep studying it for now.
Elijah, you had not seen the animal before, but you had been told about a coyote as one sort of pads its way into the room and sits on a chair. And Odette sort of gives it a scratch on the head. Now, I'm imagining this one probably led you here. Should we get down to business, or are we going to be fucking around all night?
I would prefer to get down to business and get this over with. I don't know why you seemed to think I needed to come here. And he'll pull the card out that he was given.
Well, she sort of looks around, closes the curtains, locks the door, and then sits down and pulls out a cigar and puts the box in the middle. Would you like one?
No, thank you.
We'll be needing to talk about our friend, old Blue-Eyed Jack.
Oh, we don't have a mutual friend.
Well,
he's an annoyance.
I use the term lightly. But,
I'll take one.
Go right ahead.
Oh, thank you so much. It smells really good.
It is good. Let's say that our people have been having problems with him too. And I think if we work together, you'll get what you need and we'll get what we need too.
Work together about what? I don't work with other people.
Fair
That's
enough.
Madeline's thing.
Well, if you want to try and approach the man yourself, you're more than welcome to. But believe me, you're going to want to come back to Mama Odette's when you're done.
I just need information on him.
How much do you know about a little thing called entropy? And that is where we're going to pause our story for this evening.
Look in the mirror, is that what you saw? You act like a diamond, you act like a star. You can't get your feelings to look at the sun, or see through the eyes of a human at all. Oh, that's what I told you, that you sold yourself. clouds are raining, scarecrows ain't scaring, the music's reflecting, nothing at all. Your lips are shaking, your skin is